Some men build empires on blood and call it legacy. Others destroy them with a single bullet and call it business. Luca DeSantis did both. He never believed in fate until the night he held her face in his hands and saw his own ruin reflected back. The woman he loved more than power itself. The daughter of the man whose death made him king. There are sins you can't bury deep enough. Please like, share and subscribe. The world before. The rain came down like judgment over Milan. Luca DeSantis stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse, watching the city lights blur through the downpour. 34 years old. Self-made king of the Northern Territories. And emptier than the day his father died in a prison cell. His reflection stared back. Sharp jaw. Cold eyes. Expensive suit that couldn't hide the violence underneath. You're brooding again. Elena Rossi entered without knocking. She never knocked. 20 years of cleaning up his messes earned her that privilege. I'm thinking, Luca said. Dangerous. She poured herself whiskey from his bar. Mid-40s, silver threading through her dark hair, scars she never talked about. Elena was the closest thing Luca had to family. His fixer. His conscience when he had one. The Bellini shipment cleared, she said. Port Authority won't be a problem anymore. Luca's jaw tightened at the name. Marco Bellini. Dead 6 months now. A problem Luca had solved personally in a warehouse south of the city. Quick, clean, necessary. Or so he told himself. Good, Luca said. What else? You need to sleep. I need to work. Elena studied him with the sharpness of someone who'd seen him at his worst. When's the last time you did something that wasn't business? This morning. I had breakfast. That doesn't count. Luca turned from the window. What do you want me to say, Elena? That I'm lonely? That building an empire on other people's blood comes with a price. I want you to be human occasionally. I tried that once. It didn't take. She sighed, setting down her glass. There's a charity gala next week. Mayor's hosting. You should go. I don't do charity. You do appearances. Politics. You shake hands with people who'd shoot you if they thought they could get away with it. She paused. Besides, you need to be seen. The families are watching. They smell weakness. Luca knew she was right. In his world, perception was survival. Fine, he said. 1 hour. Then I'm done. Elena smiled slightly. I'll have your suit pressed. Later that night, Luca couldn't sleep. He sat in his study, files spread across his desk. The Bellini operation. Marco's last known associates. Territories that still needed consolidating. One file caught his eye. A background check Elena had run months ago. Marco Bellini's family. Wife. Deceased 2019. Cancer. Daughter. Isabella Bellini, 26, art curator, no criminal record. Luca stared at the photo clipped to the page. Dark hair. Intelligent eyes. She looked nothing like her father. He'd never met her. Made a point not to. Collateral damage was easier when it stayed abstract. He closed the file. Pushed it aside. Tomorrow he'd forget he ever looked. Isabella Bellini stood in the empty gallery, surrounded by paintings she'd spent 3 months acquiring. The opening was in 2 days. Everything had to be perfect. Her heels clicked against marble as she adjusted a spotlight, bathing a Renaissance portrait in golden light. Art was the only thing that made sense anymore. The only constant. You're here late. She turned. Her assistant, Marco, no relation, unfortunate name, stood in the doorway with coffee. So are you, Isabella said, accepting the cup. Someone has to keep you from working yourself to death. She smiled faintly. I'm fine. You say that a lot. Isabella didn't respond. What was she supposed to say? That it had been 6 months since her father's death and she still couldn't breathe right? That the police called it gang violence, unsolved, case going cold? That every morning she woke up angry and every night she went to bed empty? The collection looks incredible, Marco said gently. Your father would have been proud. Her chest tightened. He never understood art. He understood you. Isabella's throat burned. She turned back to the painting. I need to finish this. Marco knew better than to push. I'll lock up when you're done. When she was alone again, Isabella let herself feel it. The grief. The rage. The suffocating weight of questions without answers. Her father had been a businessman. Import-export. Nothing glamorous. Nothing illegal as far as she knew. But someone had killed him anyway. Execution style. Single bullet. The police had nothing. No witnesses. No leads. Just another dead man in a city full of them. Isabella wiped her eyes before the tears could fall. She wouldn't cry anymore. She'd made that promise at his funeral. The charity gala was exactly as insufferable as Luca expected. Champagne. False smiles. Politicians and criminals pretending to be different species. He moved through the crowd like a shark, shaking hands, making promises he wouldn't keep. Elena stayed close, her presence a reminder to behave. Councilman Rossi sends his regards, someone said. Luca smiled. Tell him I'll send mine when he delivers the zoning permits. Laughter. Transactions disguised as pleasantries. He was reaching for another drink when he saw her. Dark green dress. Hair pulled back. Standing alone near a sculpture, studying it with the kind of focus that made the rest of the room disappear. Luca's breath caught. He didn't believe in love at first sight. Didn't believe in much beyond leverage and consequence. But something shifted. Who is that? He asked Elena quietly. She followed his gaze. Hesitated. Isabella Bellini. The name hit him like a fist. Bellini. Marco Bellini's daughter. The woman whose father he'd killed. Don't, Elena warned. But Luca was already moving. Isabella felt him before she saw him. A presence. Expensive cologne. Confidence that bordered on arrogance. Bernini, the man said, gesturing to the sculpture. 17th century. Allegedly. She turned. He was tall, well-built, dark hair perfectly styled. Eyes that calculated everything. Allegedly, she asked. Everything here is theater, he said. Replicas pretending to be originals. Rich people pretending to care about art. And which are you? He smiled slightly. Both probably. Despite herself, Isabella was intrigued. You don't seem like the charity type. I'm not. I'm here for appearances. Honest. Would you prefer I lie? Most people do. Something flickered in his expression. Recognition maybe. Or guilt. I'm Luca. He extended his hand. Isabella hesitated, then shook it. His grip was firm. Warm. Isabella. The art curator, Luca said. I've heard of your gallery. You follow the art scene? I follow interesting things. The way he said it made her pulse quicken. Dangerous. This man was dangerous. I should get back, Isabella said. Why? Because I don't know you. Yet, Luca said. You don't know me yet. She should have walked away. Glad she stayed. They talked for an hour. Art, philosophy, the parts of themselves they were willing to share with strangers. Luca was sharp. Guarded. Every answer revealed nothing while making her want to know more. You're hard to read, Isabella said. Good. Most people want to be understood. I'm not most people. I'm noticing. He studied her with an intensity that made her skin flush. What about you? What does the brilliant art curator want? Depends on the day. Today. Questions I shouldn't ask strangers. Luca leaned closer. I'm good with secrets. For a moment she almost told him. About her father. About the anger that wouldn't let her sleep. But something stopped her. Instinct maybe. Self-preservation. I should go, Isabella said. This time Luca didn't argue. Can I see you again? Why? Because I want to. Simple. Direct. Completely unnerving. Isabella found herself nodding. The gallery opening. Friday. 7 p.m. I'll be there. He walked away without looking back. Isabella stood frozen, heart racing, wondering what she'd just agreed to. Elena was waiting by the car. What did you do? She asked. Luca didn't answer immediately. He was still processing. The way Isabella looked at him. The way she made him feel like someone other than what he was. I asked her to dinner, he lied. Luca. I know. Do you? Because this isn't some random woman. This is Marco Bellini's daughter. I'm aware. Are you? Elena's voice sharpened. You put a bullet in her father's head 6 months ago. What exactly is your plan here? Luca's jaw tightened. There's no plan. There's always a plan with you. Not this time. Elena studied him with something close to pity. She'll find out eventually. They always do. Luca stared at the rain-slicked street. Maybe. And when she does? He didn't have an answer. Isabella couldn't stop thinking about him. 3 days until the gallery opening. 3 days of pretending to work while replaying their conversation. She told herself it was nothing. A distraction. A handsome stranger at a party. But her instincts screamed otherwise. "You're smiling," her assistant said. Isabella looked up from the catalog she wasn't reading. "What? You're smiling. You never smile." "I smile. Not like that." Isabella set down the catalog. "There's nothing to tell. I didn't ask." "Good." But Marco, her assistant, knew her too well. "Just be careful." "Of what?" "Whatever's making you smile like that." Luca meanwhile was unraveling. He sat in his office, staring at Isabella's file. Every detail memorized. Her education. Her mother's death. Her father's murder. A murder he'd ordered. A murder he'd executed. Elena was right. This was insane. Reckless. A mistake that would destroy them both. But when Friday came, Luca found himself standing outside Isabella's gallery anyway. The opening was elegant. Intimate. 70 guests admiring paintings Isabella had curated with the kind of passion Luca only felt about control. She spotted him immediately. Their eyes met across the room. Something electric passed between them. Isabella excused herself from a conversation and walked over, champagne in hand. "You came," she said. "I said I would. People say a lot of things. I'm not most people. Remember." She smiled. Actually smiled. "How could I forget?" They moved through the gallery together, Isabella explaining each piece with a depth that fascinated him. She wasn't just knowledgeable. She was alive when she talked about art. Luminous. Luca found himself wanting to know everything. Every thought. Every fear. Every dream she'd buried under grief. "This one's my favorite," Isabella said, stopping in front of a dark Renaissance painting. A woman holding a dagger. Tears on her cheeks. "Artemisia Gentileschi," Luca said. "Judith slaying Holofernes." Isabella looked surprised. "You know it." "I know revenge when I see it." Her expression shifted. "Is that what you see?" "Revenge. Isn't it?" "I see justice." "Same thing sometimes." Isabella's eyes darkened. "Not always." The moment stretched. Heavy. Loaded with things neither would say. "I lost someone," Isabella said quietly. 6 months ago. My father." Luca's chest constricted. "I'm sorry." "Everyone's sorry. No one does anything about it." "What would you want them to do?" "Find who killed him." Her voice was steel beneath silk. "Make them pay." Luca felt the weight of his own sins crushing him. "And if you found them?" Isabella met his eyes. "I don't know. That's what scares me." They had dinner afterward. A quiet restaurant. Corner table. Candles flickering between them. Luca knew he should end this. Walk away. Disappear before the inevitable destruction. But he couldn't. Isabella talked about her father. His laugh. His terrible jokes. How he'd supported her dreams even when he didn't understand them. Every word was a knife in Luca's chest. "He was a good man," she said. "Complicated but good. He didn't deserve what happened." "No one deserves that," Luca said, the lie burning his throat. "The police think it was gang-related. Wrong place, wrong time." Isabella's fingers tightened around her wine glass. "But I don't believe that." "Why not?" "Because my father was careful. He knew the city. He wouldn't have just walked into something." Luca's pulse quickened. "What do you think happened?" "I think someone wanted him dead." Her eyes locked on his. "I think it was personal." The restaurant suddenly felt too small. Too hot. "You can't know that," Luca said carefully. "No. But I will." Isabella leaned forward. "I'm going to find out who killed him. And when I do." She trailed off, but the promise hung between them. Luca should have been terrified. Should have ended this before it started. Instead, he reached across the table and took her hand. "You're not alone," he said. The words were true. And the cruelest lie he'd ever told. They saw each other every day after that. Dinners. Walks. Stolen hours between her gallery work and his empire building. Luca told himself he was managing the situation. Keeping her close. Making sure she didn't dig too deep into her father's death. But the truth was simpler. And more devastating. He was falling in love with her. Isabella was brilliant, fierce, damaged in ways that mirrored his own. When she laughed, something in Luca's chest cracked open. When she touched him, casual, unconscious, he felt human again. 2 weeks in, she invited him to her apartment. It was small, warm, books everywhere, art on every wall. "It's not much," Isabella said, suddenly self-conscious. "It's you," Luca said. "It's perfect." They stood in her living room, the city glowing through the windows. Isabella moved closer, her hand finding his chest. "I don't do this," she said softly. "Do what?" "Let people in." "Neither do I." "Then why are you here?" Luca cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek. "Because I can't stay away." The kiss was inevitable. Gentle at first, then desperate. Months of loneliness and need colliding. When they finally pulled apart, Isabella was breathless. "Stay," she whispered. Luca knew he shouldn't. Knew every moment with her was borrowed time. But he stayed anyway. Elena found out, of course. She cornered Luca in his office 3 weeks later, fury barely contained. "Are you sleeping with her?" Luca didn't look up from his desk. "That's none of your business." "Like hell it isn't. I clean up your messes, remember? And this," she slammed her hands on his desk. "This is the biggest mess you've ever made. I'm handling it." "You're not handling anything. You're spiraling." Luca finally met her eyes. "I know what I'm doing." "Do you?" "Because from where I'm standing, you're playing house with the daughter of a man you murdered. And when she finds out, not if, when, she will destroy you. She won't find out." Elena laughed bitterly. "You really believe that? The families talk, Luca. Someone will slip. Someone always slips. Then I'll deal with it." "How? By killing everyone who knows? By lying to her forever?" Elena's voice softened. "Or are you actually stupid enough to think you can tell her the truth and she'll forgive you?" Luca's silence was answer enough. "Jesus Christ," Elena breathed. "You love her. Don't. You actually love her." "Elena. This isn't some game you can win, Luca. There's no version of this that ends well." Luca stood jaw tight. "I didn't ask for your opinion." "No. You never do. But I'm giving it anyway." She moved closer. "End this. No. Before it kills you both." "I can't." "You mean you won't?" "Same thing." Elena stared at him with something close to grief. "I've known you 15 years. Watched you build this empire from nothing. You've never been afraid of anything." "I'm not afraid." "Liar." She turned toward the door, then paused. "When this falls apart, and it will, don't say I didn't warn you." The door closed behind her with terrible finality. Luca stood alone in his office, Elena's words echoing. He was right. He knew she was right. But when his phone buzzed with a text from Isabella, "Miss you," all the logic in the world couldn't stop him from smiling. 1 month became 2. Luca had never been this version of himself. Lighter. Almost happy. Isabella made him laugh. Made him think about futures that didn't involve violence. She'd tell him about artists and history, and he'd find himself genuinely interested. They'd lie in her bed afterward, tangled together, and for those moments, Luca could almost forget what he was. "Tell me something true," Isabella said one night, fingers tracing patterns on his chest. "Like what?" "Anything. Something you've never told anyone." Luca's throat tightened. "I killed your father. I'm the reason you cry at night. I'm the monster you're looking for." "I'm afraid," he said instead. Isabella propped herself up, studying him. "Of what?" "Losing this. Losing you." It wasn't the whole truth. But it wasn't a lie either. She kissed him softly. "You won't." The promise broke his heart. But secrets have weight. And this one was getting harder to carry. Isabella had started asking questions again. About her father. About his business. "I found something," she told Luca over dinner one evening. "In my father's papers." Luca's blood went cold. "What kind of something?" "References to meetings. Shipments. Money transfers." She paused. "I think he was involved in something illegal." "Isabella." "I'm not naive, Luca. I know people lie. I know the world is ugly." Her eyes met his. "But I need to know the truth. Even if it hurts." Luca set down his fork carefully. "Sometimes the truth does more harm than good. That's not your choice to make." "I'm just saying." "What?" That I should stop looking? Stop asking questions. Her voice sharpened. Someone killed him, Luca. Whoever it was is still out there, living their life. While I'm stuck in this, she gestured helplessly. This grief that won't end. Luca reached for her hand. She let him take it, but her fingers stayed tense. I want to help, he said. Then help me find them. The irony was excruciating. Okay, Luca heard himself say. I'll help you. Another lie. Another brick in the wall that would eventually crush them both. The next day, Luca met with Elena in a parking garage. She's digging into her father's past, he said without preamble. Elena lit a cigarette. And you're helping her? What choice do I have? You could disappear. Finally. Completely. I'm not leaving her. Then you're going to get caught. Elena exhaled smoke. There are people who know Luca. The families. The soldiers who were there. All it takes is one person with a grudge. I know. Do you? Because you're acting like this is sustainable. Luca leaned against his car, exhaustion settling into his bones. What would you do? If you were me. I'd never be you. Elena softened slightly. But if I was? I'd tell her. Before someone else does. She'll hate me. She's going to hate you either way. At least this way you're honest. Luca shook his head. I can't. You mean you're too much of a coward? The words stung because they were true. Isabella meanwhile was making progress. She'd contacted an investigative journalist. A woman named Julia who specialized in organized crime. They met at a cafe, quiet corner, voices low. Your father's name came up in connection with several known families, Julia said, sliding a folder across the table. Import-export was legitimate. But he also moved other things. Isabella's stomach churned. What kind of things? Weapons. Occasionally drugs. He was careful. Low profile. That's impossible. Julia's expression was sympathetic but firm. I have receipts. Testimony. Your father wasn't a kingpin, but he was connected. Isabella felt the room tilt. Who killed him? That's harder to say. His death could have been business. Could have been personal. Could have been both. Give me names. It doesn't work like that. Names, Isabella repeated. Please. Julia hesitated, then wrote something on a napkin. Slid it across. 3 names. 3 families. One of them was DeSantis. Isabella stared at the name, pulse thundering. DeSantis. Luca's last name. She didn't confront him immediately. Instead she researched. Late nights. Public records. News articles. Whispered rumors. Luca DeSantis. Northern Territories. Known associates. Suspected activities. Everything clicked into place with sickening clarity. The expensive suits. The guarded answers. The way people looked at him with fear disguised as respect. Luca wasn't just connected to the families. He was a family. Isabella sat in her apartment, laptop open, tears streaming down her face. The man she loved. The man who held her when she cried about her father. Was he involved? Or worse, was he responsible? When Luca arrived at her apartment that night, he knew immediately something was wrong. Isabella stood by the window, arms crossed, body language screaming danger. Hey, he said carefully. You okay? Who are you? The question hung between them like a blade. What? Who? Or you? Isabella turned and Luca saw the tears. The fury. Tell me the truth, Luca. For once in whatever this is, just tell me the fucking truth. His mind raced. Isabella. Are you a criminal? Silence. Answer me. It's complicated. No. She laughed bitterly. It's actually really simple. Are you part of a crime family? Yes or no? Luca's jaw tightened. Yes. The confirmation hit her like a fist. She stumbled back, hand over her mouth. Did you know? She whispered. Did you know who I was? Who my father was? Luca wanted to lie. God, he wanted to lie. Yes. Isabella's face crumpled. Get out. Let me explain. Get out. Isabella, please. She grabbed the nearest thing, a book, and threw it. It missed. She grabbed another. You used me. You, her voice broke. You knew what I was going through and you. I fell in love with you, Luca said desperately. That wasn't fake. None of it was fake. Love. She laughed through tears. You don't know what that word means. I know I don't deserve you. I know I should have stayed away. But I couldn't. Did you kill him? The question stopped everything. Luca's silence was deafening. Oh my God, Isabella breathed. Oh my God, you did. You killed my father. It wasn't. Get out. Her voice was ice. Get out or I swear to God I will call the police right now. Luca took a step toward her. She raised her phone. I mean it, Luca. Leave. He looked at her, the woman he loved more than his own life, and saw only hatred. Luca turned and walked out. The door slammed behind him with the sound of everything ending. Elena found Luca at a bar 2 hours later. Drunk. Shattered. Barely holding himself together. She knows, he said. Elena sat beside him. All of it. Enough. What are you going to do? Nothing. What can I do? Luca drained his glass. She hates me. She should hate me. I killed her father. It was business. Was it? He laughed bitterly. Marco Bellini was skimming. I could have talked to him. Warned him. But I didn't. I put a bullet in his head because it was easier. You can't think like that. Why not? It's true. Luca signaled for another drink. I destroyed her life twice. Once when I killed him. And again when I made her fall in love with me. Elena was quiet for a moment. She might come around. No. She won't. And she shouldn't. So that's it? You're just giving up. Luca met her eyes. What else is there? But Isabella wasn't finished. The revelation didn't end her investigation. It ignited it. If Luca was involved, she'd find proof. She'd find evidence. She'd make sure he paid. She met with Julia again. Told her everything. I need you to help me, Isabella said. I need evidence that connects Luca de Santis to my father's death. Julia hesitated. That's dangerous. These people don't play around. I don't care. You should. He killed my father. Then Isabella's voice cracked. He made me love him. Knowing what he did. What kind of person does that? Julia studied her carefully. Are you sure you want to do this? Because once you start down this road, there's no coming back. I'm already past that point. Okay. Julia pulled out her laptop. Then let's get to work. 2 weeks passed. Luca threw himself into work. Business. Violence. The things he understood. But every night he stared at his phone. At Isabella's contact. At the messages she'd never answer. Elena watched him spiral with increasing concern. You need to eat, she said one evening. I'm fine. You're not. Luca didn't argue. There was no point. The families are talking, Elena continued. They know about Isabella. They think you're weak. Let them think what they want. Luca. I don't care. He slammed his fist on the desk. I don't care about the families or the territories or any of it. He stopped. Couldn't finish. Elena's expression softened. You love her. It doesn't matter. It matters to you. Luca's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. What? Luca de Santis? A woman's voice. Professional. This is Julia Marini. Investigative journalist. I'd like to ask you some questions about Marco Bellini's murder. His blood went cold. I have nothing to say. I think you do. I have testimony placing you at the warehouse the night he died. I have ballistics evidence. And I have a grieving daughter who deserves the truth. If you're recording this. I'm not. This is courtesy. Consider it a warning. She paused. Isabella deserves better than your lies. The line went dead. Luca sat frozen, the implications crashing over him. Isabella was building a case. With a journalist. She was going to destroy him. And he couldn't even blame her. The next morning Luca received a package. No return address. No note. Inside was a folder. Photographs. Documents. Testimony from soldiers who'd been at the warehouse. Everything Isabella had found. And on top a single handwritten note. You took everything from me. Now I'm taking everything from you. Luca's hands shook as he read it. This was it. The endgame. Elena appeared in his doorway. What is it? He handed her the folder without speaking. She flipped through it, face darkening. This is enough to put you away for life. I know. She's going to use it. I know. Luca. I deserve it. He met Elena's eyes. Don't I? Elena had no answer. Isabella didn't sleep anymore. She spent nights cross-referencing documents, building timelines, connecting dots that led back to one inescapable truth. Luca DeSantis had murdered her father in cold blood. And then he'd seduced her. The cruelty of it made her physically ill. But beneath the nausea was something sharper. Something that scared her more than grief. She still thought about him. Still remembered the way he held her. The way he looked at her like she was the only thing that mattered. You okay? Julia asked during one of their late-night sessions. Isabella looked up from her laptop. Define okay. Fair point. Julia poured coffee. We have enough to go to the authorities. The authorities are paid off. You said so yourself. Not all of them. Enough of them. Isabella rubbed her eyes. Besides, I don't want him arrested. Julia frowned. Then what do you want? I want him to feel what I felt. I want him to lose everything. She paused. I want him to hurt. Revenge is dangerous, Isabella. So is falling in love with a killer. The bitterness in her own voice surprised her. Luca meanwhile made a decision. If Isabella wanted to destroy him, he wouldn't fight it. He called Elena to his office. Handed her a sealed envelope. What's this? She asked. Contingency plan. Something happens to me, this goes to the federal prosecutor. Everything. Names, dates, transactions. Elena stared at him. You're turning on the families? I'm protecting you. When Isabella goes public, there'll be retaliation. I won't have you caught in the crossfire. And what about you? I'm already dead. He said it matter-of-factly. I killed the father of the woman I love. There's no coming back from that. Elena's throat tightened. You could run. Disappear. Where would I go? Who would I be? Luca shook his head. I built this empire on blood. Maybe it's time to pay the tab. That's not noble, Luca. That's suicide. Maybe. He looked out the window at the city he'd controlled for years. But at least it's honest. Elena left without another word. For the first time in 20 years she didn't know how to save him. Isabella's phone rang at midnight. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello. It's me. Luca's voice. Quiet. Broken. Don't hang up. She should have. Every rational part of her screamed to end the call. What do you want? Her voice was ice. To tell you the truth. All of it. I already know the truth. No. You know facts. You don't know, he exhaled shakily. You don't know why. I don't care why. Your father was skimming from a shipment. €500,000. The families wanted an example made. Isabella's chest constricted. So you killed him. So I killed him. No defensiveness. No excuses. Single shot. He didn't suffer. I made sure of that. Tears burned her eyes. You want credit? For making his murder quick. No. I want you to know I've thought about it every day since. Every single day. Good. I didn't know he had a daughter. Didn't know you existed until I pulled your file. Luca's voice cracked. And by then it was too late. I'd already what? Fallen in love. Isabella laughed bitterly. You don't get to claim that. You used me. At first. Maybe. I don't know. I was trying to make sure you didn't dig too deep. He paused. But somewhere along the way it stopped being about that. It stopped being about anything except you. I don't believe you. I know. He was quiet for a moment. The package you sent. The evidence. It's enough to destroy me. The families will turn on me. The prosecutors will move. I'll spend the rest of my life in prison. That's what you deserve. I know. Another pause. I just wanted you to hear it from me first. That I'm sorry. That you were the best thing that ever happened to me. And that I'd take it all back if I could. Isabella's hand shook around the phone. But you can't. No. I can't. Silence stretched between them. Heavy with everything that could never be fixed. Goodbye, Isabella. He hung up before she could respond. Isabella sat alone in the dark, phone pressed to her chest, crying for reasons she didn't want to examine. The next day Isabella met with a federal prosecutor. Not one on the family's payroll. Someone Julia trusted. Someone clean. He handed over everything. Photos. Testimony. Financial records. The prosecutor, a woman named Sophia, reviewed it with increasing intensity. "This is substantial," Sophia said finally. "DeSantis won't be the only one going down. This implicates half the Northern Territories. I don't care about the others. I want him." Sophia studied her carefully. "And you're prepared for what comes next? The media attention? The danger?" "I've been in danger since the moment I met him. Not like this. When we move on DeSantis, the families will retaliate. Witnesses have a habit of disappearing. Then protect me. We'll try. But I can't make promises." Isabella's jaw tightened. "When? We need a few weeks to build the case properly. Make sure it's airtight." "Fine." Isabella stood to leave. "One more thing," Sophia said. "Once we arrest DeSantis, there's no taking it back. No changing your mind. Are you sure this is what you want?" Isabella thought about her father. About the nights she'd cried herself to sleep. About Luca's hands on her face, his voice in her ear, all of it poisoned by the truth. "I'm sure. But certainty is easier in theory than practice." Over the next 2 weeks, Isabella found herself paralyzed by doubt. She'd wake at 3 a.m. replaying memories. Luca's laugh. The way he touched her. The vulnerability in his eyes when he thought she wasn't looking. Was any of it real? Or had she just been a pawn in whatever game he was playing? Her assistant found her crying in the gallery one afternoon. "I can't do this," Isabella whispered. "Can't do what?" "Any of it. Face. The revenge. She pressed her palms to her eyes. "I hate him. I hate him so much. But I can't stop loving him." Marco finished gently. Isabella nodded, miserable. "That's not weakness, you know. That's being human. It feels like weakness. Because we're taught that love should be simple. But it never is." He sat beside her. "What do you want to happen?" "Really? I want my father back." "You can't have that." "Then I want Luca to hurt the way I hurt." "Will it help? Will destroying him bring your father back? Will it make you feel better?" Isabella didn't answer because she didn't know. Luca knew the arrest was coming. He could feel it. The weight in the air. The way his soldiers looked at him. The families pulling back. He spent his final days putting his affairs in order. Money transferred. Assets liquidated. Loose ends tied. Elena tried to convince him to run one last time. Brazil. Argentina. Somewhere they can't extradite you. "I'm done running, Elena." "You haven't started running." "Same thing." He looked at her with genuine affection. "Thank you. For everything." "Don't." Her voice broke. "Don't say goodbye like this is over." "It is over. Has been since the moment I met her. You could have walked away." "Could I?" Luca smiled sadly. "I don't think so. I think this was always going to happen. One way or another." Elena wiped her eyes angrily. "You're an idiot." "I know. A self-destructive, stubborn idiot." "I know that too." She pulled him into a hug. Hard. Brief. When she pulled back, her expression was steel. "If you're going down, at least do it with some dignity." "Yes, ma'am." The arrest came on a Tuesday. Federal agents. Search warrants. Cameras. Luca didn't resist. Didn't run. He let them cuff him. Read him his rights. Perp walk him past the cameras. Isabella watched it on the news from her apartment. She should have felt triumph. Vindication. Justice. Instead she felt hollow. On screen, Luca looked directly at the camera. For just a moment his expression shifted. He looked broken. Isabella turned off the TV and sat in the dark. The trial became a media circus. Prosecutors laid out the case methodically. Testimony from soldiers. Financial records. Ballistics evidence. And at the center of it all, Marco Bellini's murder. Isabella attended every day of the trial. Sat in the gallery. Watched Luca's face as witness after witness testified against him. He never looked at her. Not once. Halfway through the trial, the defense called a surprise witness. Elena Rossi took the stand. She testified that Luca had acted on orders from higher up in the organization. That Marco Bellini's death had been sanctioned by the families. "And did Mr. DeSantis express remorse?" the defense attorney asked. Elena's eyes found Luca. "Every day since." "Can you elaborate?" He changed after Marco Bellini's death. Became withdrawn. Stopped sleeping. It ate at him. Objection, the prosecutor said. Speculation. Sustained. But the damage was done. Elena had planted doubt. During cross-examination, the prosecutor went for the throat. Ms. Rossi, how long have you worked for the defendant? 20 years. And in those 20 years, how many people has Mr. DeSantis killed? Elena's jaw tightened. I wouldn't know. Wouldn't you? You just testified you're his closest confidant. I clean up his messes. I don't count his bodies. But there are bodies? Silence. Ms. Rossi, answer the question. Yes. There are bodies. The courtroom rippled with murmurs. Isabella felt sick. That night, Isabella found Elena in a parking garage. Why did you testify for him? Isabella demanded. Elena turned, cigarette glowing in the dark. Because it's the truth. The truth? He killed my father. I know. And you're protecting him? I'm telling you what I saw. What I know. Elena took a drag. Luca DeSantis has done terrible things. He's a criminal. A killer. But he's also a man who fell apart after meeting you. That doesn't excuse what he did. No. It doesn't. Elena studied her. But you didn't come here to yell at me. You came because you're not sure anymore. I'm sure. Liar. Elena stepped closer. You love him. Despite everything. You love him and it's killing you. Isabella's eyes burned. He murdered my father. I know. He used me. At first maybe. But not at the end. At the end he was just a man who destroyed his own life. Elena's voice softened. You want to know what he said the night before his arrest? I don't. He said you were the only good thing he'd ever done. And the worst. That falling in love with you was the first time he felt human. And that losing you was what he deserved. Tears streamed down Isabella's face. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know. Because this trial, this revenge, it won't give you what you want. It won't bring your father back. It won't make you stop loving him. Then what will? I don't know. But destroying him won't do it. Elena walked away, leaving Isabella alone with the truth she didn't want to face. The prosecution rested its case. The defense presented their closing arguments. A man caught in impossible circumstances. Operating under orders. Expressing genuine remorse. Then the prosecution gave theirs. A cold-blooded killer who seduced his victim's daughter to control the narrative. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Isabella didn't sleep. Didn't eat. Just waited. When the verdict came down, the courtroom was packed. On the charge of murder in the first degree, how do you find? The forewoman stood. Guilty. The word echoed through the courtroom. Isabella's breath caught. She'd won. So why did it feel like losing? Luca showed no reaction. Just stood there accepting it. The judge set sentencing for 2 weeks. As they led Luca out, he finally looked at Isabella. Their eyes met across the courtroom. No anger. No pleading. Just acceptance. And something that looked like love. Isabella thought the verdict would bring closure. It didn't. She went back to her apartment. Her gallery. Her life. But everything felt wrong. The victory was hollow. Empty. Julia tried to celebrate with her. You did it. You got justice. Did I? He's going to prison for life, Isabella. What more could you want? Isabella didn't have an answer. 2 days before sentencing, Isabella received a letter. Delivered by Elena. No return address. Inside, a single page in Luca's handwriting. Isabella. I won't insult you by asking for forgiveness. What I did is unforgivable. I know that. Your father was a good man caught in a bad world. He made mistakes, but he didn't deserve to die. Especially not at my hands. Meeting you was the first time I understood what I'd really done. Not as business. Not as necessity. But as murder. I took a life. Your father's life. And I destroyed yours in the process. I fell in love with you anyway. Maybe because of it. Maybe because you were the only person who saw me as something other than what I am. I know the love I feel doesn't matter. Doesn't change anything. Doesn't make it better. But it's real. That's the only truth I have left. Whatever happens next, know this. You were my redemption. And my damnation. I would do it all again just to meet you. And I'd still deserve to lose you. Luca. Isabella read it 3 times. Then she burned it. Watched the paper curl and blacken. Tried to feel something other than grief. The day before sentencing, Isabella made a decision. She went to the jail. Requested a visit. Luca was brought to the visitor's room in handcuffs. Orange jumpsuit. Dark circles under his eyes. He looked shocked to see her. They sat on opposite sides of reinforced glass. Picked up phones. "Why are you here?" Luca asked. "I don't know." They sat in silence for a moment. "I got your letter," Isabella said finally. And nothing. You said it yourself. It doesn't change anything." "I know. My father is still dead. You still killed him. You still lied to me." "I know." "Stop saying that." Her voice cracked. "Stop being so accepting. Fight back. Defend yourself. Give me a reason to hate you." "I can't. There's nothing to defend." Isabella's hands shook. "I loved you." "I know. Present tense, you asshole." "I still," she pressed her palm to the glass. "I hate that I still love you. I hate that when I saw the verdict all I could think about was whether you were okay. I hate that I'm here right now instead of celebrating." Luca's expression broke. "I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix this." "No. It doesn't." He put his hand against the glass, mirroring hers. "If I could take it back." "But you can't. And I can't unknow what you did. I can't unfeel what I feel." Tears streamed down her face. "So where does that leave us?" "Nowhere. It leaves us nowhere." The truth of it was devastating. Isabella wiped her eyes. "I need to ask you something." "Anything." "Did you ever really love me? Or was I just—" "I loved you more than my own life," Luca said without hesitation. "I still do. I always will." The conviction in his voice shattered her. "That doesn't help," she whispered. "I know." They sat there, hands pressed to opposite sides of the glass. 2 people destroyed by the same bullet fired 6 months ago. Finally, Isabella stood. "Goodbye, Luca." "Goodbye, Isabella." She walked away without looking back. It was the hardest thing she'd ever done. Sentencing day arrived. The courtroom was packed again. Media. Families. Witnesses. Isabella sat in the front row. Luca was brought in. He scanned the room, eyes finding hers. She didn't look away. The judge reviewed the case. The evidence. The severity of the crimes. "Does the defendant have anything to say before sentencing?" Luca's lawyer started to stand, but Luca waved him off. He stood on his own. "Yes, Your Honor." The courtroom went silent. Luca cleared his throat. "I'm not going to stand here and make excuses. I killed Marco Bellini. It was premeditated. It was cold-blooded. And it was wrong." Murmurs rippled through the room. "I've spent my entire adult life in this world. Violence. Power. Control. I told myself it was survival. That these were the rules. That I was doing what I had to do." He paused, eyes finding Isabella. "And then I met his daughter. And for the first time I understood the real cost. Not in money or territory. But in human lives. In futures destroyed. In grief that doesn't end." Isabella's throat tightened. "I can't bring Marco Bellini back. I can't undo the pain I've caused. But I can accept responsibility. I can say unequivocally that I deserve whatever punishment this court decides." He sat down. The judge was quiet for a moment. "Mr. DeSantis, I've presided over hundreds of cases. And rarely do I see genuine remorse from defendants in your position." She looked at her notes. "However, remorse does not absolve guilt. Marco Bellini was a father. A husband. A human being. And you took his life." Isabella held her breath. "I hereby sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole." The gavel came down. Final. Irreversible. Luca showed no reaction. Just stood as they led him away. As he passed Isabella's row, he stopped. Met her eyes one last time. Mouthed 2 words, "I'm sorry." Then he was gone. Isabella sat frozen long after the courtroom emptied. Elena found her there, still staring at the empty defendant's table. "You okay?" Elena asked. "No." "Fair enough." They sat in silence. "He meant it, you know," Elena said finally. "The apology. The remorse. All of it." "I know. Does it help?" "No." "Will anything?" Isabella thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know. Maybe time. Maybe therapy. Maybe nothing. What are you going to do now? Live, I guess. Keep working. Keep breathing. What else is there? Elena nodded. For what it's worth, he really did love you. That's the worst part. Isabella stood gathering her things. Because I really loved him too. 6 months later. Isabella stood in a new gallery. Different city. Different art. Different life. She'd sold her father's apartment. Donated half the money to victim support groups. Used the rest to start over. The gallery was small. Intimate. Hers. Opening night was a success. Critics loved the collection. Buyers made offers. Isabella moved through the crowd, smiling, shaking hands, pretending to be whole. Later, when everyone had gone, she stood alone among the paintings. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello. It's Elena. Don't hang up. Isabella's chest tightened. Why are you calling? Because I thought you should know. Luca's appealing the sentence. New evidence. Testimony from higher-ups in the families. I don't care. Liar. Isabella closed her eyes. What do you want from me, Elena? Nothing. I just thought you deserved to know. Pause. He asks about you. Whether you're okay. If you're happy. What do you tell him? I tell him you're surviving. Good. Because that's all I'm doing. Isabella. Goodbye, Elena. She hung up. Stood alone in the dark gallery. Wondered if Luca was alone too. In his cell. Thinking about her. Wondered if love could survive this much damage. Wondered if she wanted it to. Somewhere across the city in a maximum security prison, Luca sat in his cell. He had a photo. Contraband technically. Elena had smuggled it in. Isabella at her gallery opening. Smiling for the camera. She looked beautiful. Stronger. Like maybe she was healing. Luca hoped she was. He didn't deserve her forgiveness. Didn't even want it. But he wanted her to be okay. That was enough. It had to be. He tucked the photo away. Lay on his bunk. Stared at the ceiling. Thought about parallel universes. About versions of himself who made different choices. Versions where he walked away from Marco Bellini's warehouse. Versions where he never met Isabella. Versions where love didn't cost this much. But in this universe, in this reality, he'd made his choices. And now he'd live with them. Forever. Isabella stood on her apartment balcony, city lights sprawling below. It had been a year since the trial. A year since she'd last seen Luca. She'd moved forward. Built a life. Found moments of happiness. But late at night when she couldn't sleep, she still thought about him. Still wondered what might have been. Still felt the ghost of his touch. Her phone sat on the table beside her. One unread message from an unknown number. She'd gotten it a week ago. Hadn't opened it. Knew it was from Luca. Or about him. Knew opening it would undo months of progress. But her finger hovered over the screen anyway. In the distance, sirens wailed. The city breathed. Life continued. Isabella looked at the message. Then at the city. Then back at the message. Her thumb moved toward the screen. The end. Lingering question. Can you love someone and destroy them at the same time? Can guilt and devotion exist in the same heart? Is redemption possible for sins committed in the name of survival? And when justice is served, why does it sometimes feel like everyone loses? Some questions don't have answers. Some wounds don't heal. Some loves are beautiful and toxic and true all at once. Isabella never opened that message. But she never deleted it either. And in his cell, Luca never stopped hoping she'd read it. 2 people. 1 bullet. Infinite damage. This is what happens when love collides with consequence. This is what remains when the empire falls. This is the price of power. And the cost of redemption.